In December 2025, I decided to come back to Santiago and this time ride north to Cartagena, Colombia. While waiting for my motorcycle to arrive from Hamburg, Germany to Valparaiso, Chile, I stayed and visited Santiago for a few days. Once reunited, it was time for the journey to begin. This long journey, at least for the sake of planning, was split in multiple legs. The first leg was to get from Valparaiso to the Atacama Desert, however, not on the shortest road, the coast, but through some of the highest passes in the Andes Mountains and in the whole world. Paso Agua Negra, Paso San Francisco, and Paso Hummer. Another special place along the way where I wanted to get was the north of Argentina. The plan for the first day was to cross the Andes and arrive in Mendoza. It was an easy task considering that I also did it last year when from Mendoza, I went south with the direction Ushuaia. I even remembered that I have to insist at the Argentinian border to give me a temporary import permit for Lagartha. Otherwise, it might become impossible to exit Argentina with her. After an unexpected dialogue with the border officer about the Romanian win against Argentina at the '94 World Cup, I received a permit and entered Argentina. Several hours later, and after a very friendly debate about what a solid yellow line is in terms of riding, I arrived in Mendoza. Of course that I stayed at the same hotel as last year, and because the old lady at the reception appreciated my Spanish, she offered me a parking place in the garage free of charge. The only thing she knew about Romania was Nadia. I told her that all the Spanish I know comes from the South American telenovelas that I watched with my grandmother when I was a child. After putting all the luggages into the room, I went very fast in search of a Lomo that I've been waiting for almost a year. I continued my journey north, trying to get as close as possible to the Paso Agua Negra in one day. My anxiety level was increasing directly proportional with distance to the pass. I stopped for a bit in San Juan, from a tea and local advices about this pass.
¿Cómo es el paso? ¿Muy duro?
70 kilómetros de tierra. 4.600 metros de altura.
Lo sé. ¿Es peligroso?
Y tenés que ir con cuidado.
No,
Siempre a la derecha. No cortes la curva.
And why not giving an interview at a local radio station discussing about religion, tango and wine, and why Argentina is my favorite country? In Spanish, of course. Along the way, I remembered a phrase that the reporter was trying to teach me.
En la 40, el agua vale más que el oro.
In this arid place of Route 40, the water values much more than gold. After a long road with temperatures of over 40 degrees Celsius, I arrived San Jose de Jarcal, with a big thirst that needed some cervezas. I started riding very early in the morning. Today was my first big challenge, crossing back to Chile through Paso Agua Negra at an altitude of over 4,700 meters. Even if I have never been at such high altitudes, and I didn't know how my body will react, this was not the thing that scared me the most. From the planning phase, when I saw that there are over 160 kilometers of no man's land between the Argentinian and the Chilean borders, I was worried that if something happens to me or to Lagatha, it will be very hard to find help. Unfortunately, what I was most afraid of happened. With 30 kilometers left to the Chilean border, at an altitude of 3,800 meters, my fuel pump connector broke. I remained there, and I hoped that someone will pass and help me. A few good men helped me, and both me and Lagatha arrived in La Serena at sunset. With the help of some folks from Santiago that somehow had this connector from China, but made of steel, and Gonzalo, who mounted it in his garage, after 3 days in La Serena, I was able to continue my road north to Copiapo. From this day on, Gonzalo became my guardian angel for the whole journey I had in front of me. Copiapo is a small mining town at the foot of the Andes. It is not necessarily a touristic place, but what is special about it is that it hosts the last fuel station on a distance of 500 kilometers in the direction of Paso San Francisco. During my journeys through the world, I visited hundreds of McDonald's. The McDonald's in Copiapo was the first one without cheeseburgers. With a very long day in front of me, I left Copiapo very early in the morning. The plan was to return to Argentina through one of the highest roads in the world, Paso San Francisco. This road had two major challenges. There was no fuel station on a distance of 500 kilometers and more than 300 kilometers at an altitude of over 4,000 meters, fully exposed to the weather conditions. After what happened previously on Paso Agua Negra, my confidence was low. On one hand, I had the feeling that I'm forcing my luck. On the other, I remembered Gonzalo's optimism when he first met me. Alex, even if we don't find the part that you need, we will make it ourselves. Either at the 3D printer or at the lathe machine, because this is South America and parts are very hard to find. Another name for this road is Ruta de los 6,000, because all around the path there are volcanoes of over 6,000 meters. At the end of the day, I safely arrived in Tinagasta for a well-deserved Lomo and some sleep. My journey continued to the city of Cafayate in the province of Salta, an important touristic center, very famous for the quality and originality of its wines. But along the way, there was a stop I wanted to make. At the sacred city of Quilmes. The Quilmes was a pre-Columbian tribe that resisted the Inca invasion and fiercely fought against the conquistadors for more than a century. In the end, they were conquered, and unfortunately, the last 2,000 souls that were still alive were relocated in an area near Buenos Aires and used as slaves. They were forced to do this journey of more than 1,700 kilometers by foot. Only 1/3 of them survived. In the 19th century, this ethnic group was officially declared extinct, however. Descendants still exist, and some of them came back to work at the sacred ruins and tell the story of their ancestors. It is said that each cactus here represents a soul of a Quilmes. to Salta, the biggest town in the north part of Argentina, two scenic roads that I long awaited for were in front of me. The first one, Quebrada de la Conchas. Through Argentina, there is one thing that is very hard to miss. No matter how big or small, no matter if it's in the desert, pampas, or the high Andes, all the villages have a football field. I didn't expect to find so much green in this area. After I saw my first tobacco plantations, I entered the city of Salta. And yes, who told me, Alex, go and visit the north of Argentina and you will not regret it, was very right indeed. I found the city of Salta vibrant and full of passion. And what better way to end the day than ojo de beef with chimichurri sauce and an ad hoc milonga in the central plaza. On my way north to Paso Hammer, I needed to find one more stop where to spend the night. I put my finger on the map and I chose Purmamarca. Situated at an altitude of 2,300 meters, this town will become one of the hidden gems of my journey through Argentina. Paso Hummer, the entrance to the Atacama Desert, was in front of me. My self-confidence was improving and Lagatha was in her best condition. We were ready to go again at over 4,200 meters and get to the other side of the Andes. Along this road, after crossing the border, my altitude indicator showed 4,831 meters. This was the highest point I reached along these 3 passes that were part of the first leg of my journey. My body didn't react so bad at these altitudes. But at over 4,000 meters, there was a lot of fog in my head, and when I tried to walk fast to get to a point to take a picture, I started to feel very dizzy immediately. As soon as I got back on the motorcycle and start riding, everything was good, no matter the altitude. Coming down from the pass and entering the Atacama Desert gave me a feeling of accomplishment. My long journey to Cartagena started to take shape. It was time for a break of a few days here in San Pedro and spend the Christmas, even if I was pretty sure that I will not find real Christmas trees.